This video is all about fats, or lipids, a more technical term. We will use them interchangeably through this short video and go through the good, the bad, and, well, the artery clogging, and a few things in between. If you ask an American to name a dietary villain, fat is likely to come up. Fat tends to get a bad rap, and there's good reason for that. Diets high in, say, animal fat are related to high rates of heart disease, and fats contain the highest amount of calories per gram compared to carbs and protein. And we know that too much energy, or calories, brings you out of balance. But not all fats are bad. Dietary fats carry the essential fatty acids and fat-soluble vitamins that our body needs, as well as phytochemicals. I like to think of phytochemicals as phytochemicals, fighting chemicals in our body. And did you know that fat makes up a lot of our brain? In fact, fat is the fattest organ, our brain is the fattest organ in our body and may consist of at least 60% fat. And it's super tasty to eat. People crave the taste of fat. It gives them good aromas, can be used if a person's not eating. It contributes to the sensation of feeling full. And it tends to stay in the stomach longer than carbs or proteins, as well as being absorbed over a long period of time. Let's take a look at a fat cell. A crucial role of fat is to serve as a component of cell membranes. Some types of fat give cell membranes flexibility and regulate the transfer of nutrients in and out of cells. Think of a cold water swimmer. Although their body fat stores don't fit the image of a super athlete, cold water swimmers need the fat to help stay warm. This is swimmer Mike Reed, who has swum the English Channel 20 times by age 39. Hey, that's my age. So, the body actually has two sources of fat. Those you consume from foods that contain fat, and those produced from carbs and proteins. That's right, even when you are eating foods high in carbs and protein, your body will later store them as fat. So when we talk about fat, we're mostly talking about triglycerides, one of three main types of lipids, the others being phospholipids like lecithin and steroids like cholesterol. In today's video, we're going to touch upon the lipids of primary importance: triglycerides, saturated fats, unsaturated fats, and cholesterol. Let's start by talking about cholesterol. Cholesterol is a fat-like substance found only in animal products. It's tasteless, odorless, a clear liquid that feels oily and is contained in both the lean and the fat parts of animal products. You can see here that the majority of cholesterol is made from the liver. So, most of the cholesterol available to the body is produced by our liver. The rest comes from our diet. And you can see the sources of cholesterol in our diet here. The percentages indicate the proportion of cholesterol each type of food contributes, with meats and eggs contributing higher amounts of cholesterol, milk and milk products second highest, and then we get to fats and some other foods. And let's not be confused. Cholesterol isn't always about clogging arteries. There's lots of ways that the body uses cholesterol. It's found in every cell in the body. It serves as the building block for estrogen, testosterone, and the vitamin D that is produced in your skin upon exposure to sunlight. It's a major component of nerves and the brain, and it doesn't produce any calories, or therefore, it cannot be used for energy. So now let's talk about triglycerides. Triglycerides consist of 3 fatty acids and 1 glycerol unit. The fatty acids are most important as far as our health is concerned. As you can see in this fat chain, fatty acids consist mainly of hydrogen atoms attached to carbon. When the carbon atoms are attached to as many hydrogen atoms as possible, the fatty acid is saturated, that is, saturated with hydrogen. The major fatty acids we hear about and eat are saturated and unsaturated fats. Saturated fats are the ones that carry the maximum number of hydrogens, and primarily from animal fat. They tend to be solid at room temperature. They also tend to be worse for our health. We often associate saturated fats with the bad fats. Unsaturated fats are ones possessing one or more points of saturation. Mono has one, poly has more. By and large, plant foods are the best sources of unsaturated fats and are better for our health. But most foods are a combo of both saturated and unsaturated. Here are a few examples. We can see foods like dairy, higher in animal fat, are higher in saturated fat, shown in yellow. Things like nuts, like peanut butter, are higher in unsaturated fat, shown in gray as monounsaturated and blue as polyunsaturated. Fats that are highly unsaturated are referred to as omega-3 or omega-6 fatty acids. You've probably heard of these a lot lately as good fats, fats that are thought to lower blood pressure, help with immunity, and more. Fish oils contain highly unsaturated fatty acids known as omega-3s. Fatty fish and fish that live in cold water contain the highest and come with health benefits, benefits that we will explore later in class. So let's review all about fats. Fats are technically called lipids. Fat is vitally important to us and comes in a variety of forms: saturated fat and unsaturated fats, along with cholesterol. We can distinguish fats by their level of saturation, with saturated fat being solid at room temperature and generally associated with poorer health outcomes. Monounsaturated fat with 1 point of unsaturation and poly with more than one. Fatty acids that are highly unsaturated are known as omega-3 or omega-6 fatty acids. Unsaturated fats are better for our health. But wait, there is one more type of fat we haven't touched on: trans fat. This is used in processing foods, adding hydrogen to the unsaturated fatty acids to make fat more solid and resistant to the chemical change of oxidation, taking away any health benefits of unsaturated fats. Remember back in the 80s when we were told to switch from butter to margarine because it was healthier? Boy, were they wrong. We later found out that this process of hydrogenation, occurring naturally in some dairy products, is even worse than saturated fat. And why hydrogenate in the first place? Well, it keeps food better longer. Bakeries love it, or loved it, until it was banned. Trans fat is the worst type of fat, or so we think now. It's been largely taken out of the processed food supply, but still found in restaurant foods. Some fried foods, donuts, chicken, chips, cookies, crackers, and of course, stick margarine. So that's a wrap, or that's a fats. Thanks for listening.